So, Dan, when we're talking about Nvidia in particular, the fact that this isn't a news story, but it seems like the crackdown on Nvidia chips is intensifying. What does this mean for the stock and its revenues out of China?
Look, I mean, this is a shot across the bow, not just Nvidia, but ultimately, U.S. tech. Look, and we've seen it, but you're talking about what could be 15, 20 billion per year for Nvidia. Look, I think the bark ultimately could be worse than the bite here, but it speaks to the continued tensions we're going to see in China, and especially when it comes to Nvidia. But look, that's the golden goose. They're continuing to go after the China market, and China big tech wants those Nvidia chips over Huawei.
All right, Dan, we were just showing the broader chip sector, Chinese chips, and some other things just a short time ago. What does this mean for the broader chip sector? I'm thinking about AMD in particular that also has a significant China business. Does this signal just a broader pressure on chips?
Look, I think it just signals that you're going to have more and more tensions. And the reality is that when it comes to Nvidia, when it comes to AMD, they want continued access to the China market. On the other hand, Beijing, they want domestic, right? In terms of Huawei, that's what they want, Baba and everyone to use. The reality is one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution, and that's Nvidia.
Right. I know you've been a big bull on Nvidia, along with our Jim Cramer. A lot of other people see the stock having considerably more upside. I want to talk to you about other U.S. tech players. Are any other U.S. tech players potentially impacted by some of these tensions, or maybe gamesmanship between the U.S. and China? Again, China cracking down on the import of Nvidia chips, actually ramping up their customs enforcement and deterring Chinese companies from buying the chips. Any other companies out there, whether they be server companies, hardware companies of any kind?
Yeah, TSMC clearly, and then you look across, broader, when you think about chips, what could be the impact for names like Broadcom and others? Look, Frank, I think right now, this is all a game of high stakes poker. But the reality is that those big tech companies in China, they want those Nvidia chips, and they're going to get them one way or another. That's why you see much more enforcement. And this is not going to calm down because it's an arms race going on between U.S. and China.
Well, Dan, it's really great to have you here. As I was speaking, and you were just talking right now, something else just crossed the wire. China is accusing Qualcomm of violating its antitrust laws, or at least accusing them of. I don't know if the full investigation happened. Again, just crossing the wires just now. What could this potentially mean for Qualcomm?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is just more of the same because what they're basically looking at is, where are their weak spots? Okay, when it comes to chips, is it Nvidia? Is it Qualcomm? Is it AMD? And Beijing's going to do what they can to try to ultimately, put those barriers up. Look, I think for Qualcomm, the impact's probably going to be pretty minimal as this all plays out. But you got to see because it's going to get a lot hotter in the kitchen, as you start to see this play out, especially the trillions that's going to be spent in the AI revolution.